Hello, everybody. Oh, Chris, I didn't remove you.
We're starting off hot.
Yes, I'm not used to this yet. Doing this thing. We're gonna remove you now, Chris. Y'all just call sneak peek of Chris. He's gonna come on in a second. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in to What the Frick Live. It is another Friday night, March the 29th. March is already over. What the heck is going on with 2024 already?
Time flies. Time flies. We're already into the second quarter, right now.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I know.
already. Yeah, and then pretty soon summer will be here. And
same time, it feels like 2024 has been a whole freaking year.
Yeah, already, right?
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble this evening, and we appreciate you. If you're watching on any of these platforms, please give us a heart on Facebook. That keeps us in the algorithm. Comment. Ask all kinds of questions. The more you comment, the more we stay in the algorithm. On YouTube, please subscribe on there. I don't really market YouTube that much, but we are live there tonight. And ring that bell. And also Rumble. Give us a positive Rumble. We love you all. We appreciate you. And thank you so much. And it's glad to be back on camera.
Yeah, look, she's back, everybody.
Hey, Cheryl. Good to see you. I know. So, it's been a rough year so far. I don't know why, but it has. But maybe the end of the year will be even better.
That's right. That's what we can look forward to.
And I have Will Martinez with me from Dark Fringe Radio. Will, what's going on over on the Fringe?
Oh, the Fringe. Well, like always, some crazy stuff happening over there. Check us out, darkfringeradio.com. But this week, actually just today, we just dropped a new episode with this guy named, let me back up. His name is Antonio Marino. He is the U.S. ambassador to the Majestic 12 when it comes to UFO phenomenon. So we talked about a lot of stuff regarding UFOs, disclosure. We talked about all the namesake characters in the world, like Stephen Greer and Lazar and a lot of these other guys. But yeah, really interesting individual. So check it out, darkfringeradio.com. You can see the episode there.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna be listening to that too. It's on my list. Like, are you the same way, Will? I think we did talk about this one time. Like, I just put things on a list on all kinds of different platforms, and then when I finally get to it, I get to it. Especially on days I clean. When I clean, I've listened to you so many times, Will, when I'm cleaning my house.
No way. That's cool. I listen to the show when I do certain things too around the house too. Yeah. Just to go back, because it keeps my mind busy and it's just fresh. But yeah.
Well, one of the shows I listen to a lot too is Forbidden Knowledge News. Chris Mathieu, which is our guest tonight, which we are part of. Chris, oh my gosh, he's amazing. He helps us with the podcast portion of What the Frick Live, and he does such a fantastic job, and he gets the show out like in no time. Like there's hardly ever a big turnaround or anything, but he works extremely hard for his show, Forbidden Knowledge News, and he also has a documentary that is out called Occult Louisiana, that deals with swamp magic and voodoo and like ancient history and India. It's like
everything.
It's everything in Louisiana.
Yeah. We're talking about the mafia, mounds, what else?
Murder, witches, voodoo. It's like
Anunnaki, right?
Anunnaki, all of it's there. Like, my favorite movie, Halloween movie, Monster Squad.
Oh,
vampires. I guarantee Frankenstein is from Louisiana. Swamp
if there would
Man.
be any place, it'd be there. Yeah, definitely.
He's from Swamp Man. It has everything down there. So we're gonna play the trailer for Occult Louisiana, and then we're gonna bring Chris on. So we appreciate everybody.
Which you can see on Tubi, by the way.
Oh yeah, Tubi, and there's some other places you can watch. That's where I watched it too. So let's watch the trailer, and then we'll have Chris on here in a second.
Sounds good.
Louisiana is a magical place.
And that was Cajun country,
The food's good. The ladies is fine. Just let them roll like the old folks say, c'est la vie.
So much incredible occult and forgotten history.
There's a lot to the ancient history there that we could be uncovering. Everybody is starting to really put pieces together.
I've been writing books and doing research in the field of Native American mounds and archaeology since the 1980s. The LSU campus mounds were redated, which is absolutely bizarre. This is all very, very strange, and it's just been made more strange because the All these old mounds are in Louisiana. The Smithsonian dug into over 2,000 mounds, finding 17 large skeletons.
They saw a very tall humanoid being.
We just have a rich history of paranormal type stuff. New Orleans is considered to be the most haunted city in the country.
The energy that's over the land, and that energy seems to be stuck there.
In 2019, I had an experience. It was all black, had long black hair on it, a tall creature that had a dog's head. Legendary things of fiction become reality.
When he was 15, this dog man chased him through the woods. He only survived because of his dog saving his life.
Y'all may kill me today. I said, but I promise you this, I'm going to kill at least 2 or 3 of y'all. And I said, you will for the pain of this 30-06.
It was so close that he could see down the back of its throat.
The vast swamps of Louisiana hold many secrets. From an incredibly old, forgotten history to mythical creatures.
There are no answers. There's only more questions.
Wow, that was fantastic, Chris. Way to go. Great trailer. Kept me on my toes.
Thank you.
Oh no, I hear static again.
Uh-oh. Should I
You hear static, Will?
even come back in?
Yeah, try one more time.
Yeah,
Weird.
sorry.
He sounds like he's under the waters of the bayou.
I know it is. It's the waters. He's drowned. He's down there with Atlantis. He's one of them lost discoveries. But he's talking about giants and everything, and Serpent Mound too is in this documentary, which is like maybe an hour from my house. So we'll talk about
Ohio, right?
Yeah, it's Ohio, but we have Adena burial grounds here in Ashland, and there's some things going on with that. We'll bring Chris back on now. Hello,
How's this? This is okay.
Awesome. There we go.
All right, wonderful.
That's weird. I don't know what's going on with that.
All good now.
Well, thank you for being on What the Frick Live.
Yes.
It should have happened a lot sooner than now, but we appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much, Emily. Will, looking forward to this. Let's get weird.
All right. We're gonna get Louisiana weird tonight.
Louisiana weird. When I think of Louisiana, well, first and foremost, let's not go into that real quick. Let's go into Forbidden Knowledge News for a moment, because the month I always start back doing podcasts, typically in January. But we took a break and stuff. I had some family things going on, but always bring other podcast hosts on because I support the community, because there's a lot of work that goes on. But Forbidden Knowledge News, how long has that been around? What made you start doing podcasting?
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me.
Yeah.
I started podcasting in about 2017, but Forbidden Knowledge News was originally a Facebook blog that I started in about 2013. That about 2012 is when I really started to wake up to things and just starting to look into everything. I became very interested in all the topics that I cover, and I started blogging about it on Facebook. Became somewhat popular, and I figured, man, I should talk to people who know more about these things myself than I do. So I started a YouTube channel, started interviewing people. Charlie Robinson was one of those wonderful people who suggested, man, you need to do this as a podcast. He hooked me up with my now producer and turned it into a podcast in early 2017. And that is the birth of Forbidden Knowledge News.
Awesome.
And then you birthed Forbidden Knowledge Network.
Yes, that was much later. That was after some incredible, we'll say, spiritual and paranormal experiences that led me down my path and kind of inspired me to do not only the network, but start making movies and things like that.
Chris, I hate to say this. Did you hear it? Will?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Static.
Oh, really?
Static. It's
my goodness.
It's Puff Daddy.
That's so weird, Puff Daddy.
It's the CIA or CIA.
Tapping in.
They know we might be talking about JFK a little bit tonight.
That's why.
From New Orleans.
Should I leave and come back?
Yeah.
Maybe unplug. Maybe unplug his mic and plug his mic back in.
I see something. Yeah, it seems like
is it on his end? It's not my side, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There's no static right now.
Yeah, maybe CIA is coming in. Hey, Chris, did you unplug your mic and plug it back in?
No, but I can do that real quick.
Try that and see if that
sure.
works too. I almost wore my JFK shirt tonight.
You should have.
Don't mess with but it's orange and it looks like I've been in jail.
Oh. You haven't been on camera for a while either.
The CIA, trust me, and has JFK picture on it.
You haven't been on camera in the last few weeks either.
I know.
So,
Some people might think I'm doing the shows from jail. Oh, good. That sounds good.
Okay.
Yay. All right. Yeah. So, we got a lot going on, too. We appreciate Forbidden Knowledge Network. A lot of great shows on the network, too. People joined in and stuff. It's a very great group of people, and I appreciate everybody on that. And thank you for allowing What the Frick Live to be part of the network, too, Chris.
Yes. Check out all the shows at our website, forbiddenknowledge.news.
Yes. Awesome. So, let's get down and dirty in the bios of the swamplands of Louisiana. I have never been there. My mom has, and she swears that I need to go there. And I was like, well, maybe we should go together, have a girls trip. But she never. Let's talk about the food. Let's just do that first. The food. She doesn't like any animals that can look at you when you're eating them. But the crawfish in Louisiana, she says, is different. And I need to go down there and try the crawfish. So, Chris, I know you did this documentary because this is the home state you grew up in. So testify to the food of Louisiana.
The food is absolutely amazing. It's one of the things I miss most about Louisiana. In fact, whenever I think about the seafood and some of the things I grew up with and that I can't just go to my mom's house and eat it or to the store and pick some of this stuff up, it's kind of depressing at times. Some of my favorite stuff is crawfish, boiled crawfish boils, gumbo, jambalaya, etouffee. And some of the best stuff is what my mom and my friends' moms and my aunts and uncles made. Restaurant stuff is fine. You go to New Orleans, you go out to eat at a restaurant. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. But the best stuff is you go to someone's grandma's house and eat what their grandma made. And that is just the most amazing. You can't touch anywhere else. And it's a really close to my heart. It's Cajun food. Unfortunately, not healthy. You won't find much health food in Louisiana, nor much organic options. But if you're looking for some good tasting stuff, that is definitely the place to go. And yeah, crawfish boils, family tradition. You just get a bunch of your friends and family together, put a bunch of newspaper out, boil crawfish, potatoes, throw everything in there, all kind of crazy stuff, and then slap it out on the table, and everybody just digs in. And Emily, yes, you're right. The crawfish will look at you. They have little black beady eyes, and people suck after they take the tail off and peel it. Well, some people will suck on the head. This is a tradition. You get all the brain juices and good stuff, and a lot of seasoning. It's a lot of seasoning in there, and it tastes delicious, really. Some people will go as far as stick their pinky deep inside the head, swirl it around, and extract the guts and the good stuff.
No wonder there's so much stuff going on in Louisiana.
Good stuff.
No, I don't know if I can do it.
Delicious, man. You wouldn't regret it.
Hey, that actually begs a good question here, if you really think about it. Louisiana, the cooking, the food, right? That's a staple, right? Wouldn't you think ghosts would be attracted to that? You would think that every kitchen in Louisiana would be on it.
I can guarantee it is. Your grandma's going to stick around, and if you cook one of her meals wrong, she can slap you across the head. You're going to feel this. Be like, sorry, grandma. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if a ghost is left in limbo in Louisiana, it's because they don't want to leave the
food. That's why a lot of us ghost hunters like to eat food on our investigations. One of our main topics is anybody going to bring food? Who's bringing food? I've been on investigations that they've brought toaster ovens and plugged it in.
You might as well. You can do
air fryers and everything.
Yeah.
They do that. Food is a recreation. Everybody gets around. I mean, I do it too. Every celebration, food. And if I was in part of Louisiana and New Orleans, or Nolans is how they like to say it, if somebody, I smell that crawfish in my spirit realm, I'll be coming over there too.
Gumbo.
One of the best ways to experience Louisiana food is go to one of the fairs or festivals, and that's where everybody's grandma gets together and goes to compete over their best dishes, and you get the little food stands where people's grandmas cooked in, and you get the best of everybody's world. You get the fried stuff here, the crawfish here, boudin. You get they had fried Nutri-Rats in one of the. It's a rat about this big that lives in the bayou.
Yeah,
you got some good stuff there, man. You got gators, turtles. They ate turtles.
Yeah.
The most exotic thing I've ever eaten is what is it? Alligator bites. Alligator bites. That's the most exotic thing I've ever eaten. I cannot imagine eating a rat. That just ugh.
I've never had it. I can do semi-exotic. I've eaten the gator. I have not eaten the Nutri-Rat because I've seen what those things look like and not good, and it's not pretty at all. It's terrifafying, actually.
How do you spell that?
Nutri-Rat. Oh God, Nutria. Yeah, there you go.
RIA.
Yeah.
Rodent. I'm gonna put it in rodent.
Right.
I gotta look what this thing looks like. I might share
It's
my.
huge.
Oh
It's
my
a
god,
giant-
it's like an overgrown hamster.
They live in the bayous and in like the dirtiest parts of the swamps and stuff. They sneak into people's garbage, and they showed up in my backyard every time growing up. Like I wake up to go outside and see these things.
Listen, I watched 90 Day Fiance.
Wow.
There's a guy from Kentucky, my home state, that collects gerbils, but his fiance eats gerbils.
The best part about these things, at about between midnight and 3 a.m. every morning, they make this god awful sound, and it sounds like a child yelling for their mother.
They're gremlins.
No way.
This goes, "Ma!" That's all you hear from like 12 to 3 in the morning. It's awful.
Don't feed these things after midnight.
No.
They're already definitely gremlins.
Yeah.
I cannot eat that.
I can't either. I've never eaten
that. Oh my gosh.
I'm shooting that thing.
That's crazy. I could not eat that. And oh my goodness, there's no way. There's rumors about other restaurants and things like cats and cooking cats and stuff. I don't know. If it looks like a domestic animal, I cannot eat it. and this rodent looks like he looks like a gerbil.
Yeah, they found the cutest one possible to take a picture of for that, because that's not what the ones I've seen. The ones I've seen look like really nasty and like they've been run through the ringer. Might have rabies. Yeah.
It looks like Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In the
Splinter,
Yes, exactly. It does.
He's been ran through the ringer. Yeah. So real quick, Occult Louisiana.
Yes.
I love this. I love the topic. There's so much stuff going on there, and if we want to talk about a meal, it's like you're going to get a little bit of everything, especially with this episode 1. So, and I know you're from Louisiana, but is that what drew you into making this documentary? Is this what attracted you to do that?
Yes, I had the inspiration to make a film about pretty much all of the topics that I cover. And it was supposed to be a docuseries at first that was going to be small 30 to 40 minute episodes. And we originally started out making Occult Louisiana as a 30 or 40 minute small mini docuseries. But we looked into the logistics of the distribution and everything behind it. And it's way easier to make a film and just put out longer films instead of these separate mini series. So we decided to make a 90-minute film about Louisiana, and I wanted to do Louisiana because, I grew up there, and there's just so much high strangeness and hidden history and amazing things to cover in Louisiana. I thought it'd be a great place to start for a film. So last April, I took a trip out there. We lined up a bunch of interviews, locations, filmed, saw some great places, spent time in New Orleans and some of the swamps, took tours, plantations, went out to LSU mounds, and we got all the footage, compiled it, took a few months to edit, and birthed Occult Louisiana. And it is the first of many films to come, and we've started production on our second film. And like you said earlier, you can go watch Occult Louisiana right now on Tubi.
Awesome.
Melissa Dawn is tuning in too right now. Hello, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Hello.
Melissa's one of my dearest friends. I love her. Thank you for tuning in. She has a show this evening too, right after our show. So go check her out. But yeah, so and I'm going to ask one other question, then I'll let Will talk for a minute because I talk too much.
No, you don't. Go ahead.
So real quick, before you started doing this documentary and everything, did you check in with your family to see if they had any experiences that maybe they have not shared with you? Would they want to be part of a documentary? This documentary?
I did, and they declined. They're in their early 80s, and they're kind of into what I do, but they're not interested in anything. And I don't think they've had too many experiences. My dad's had a UFO. He's seen a UFO before, but that's about it. I've had a few family members that have had some interesting encounters, but the most interesting experiences I've come across were people who have had these encounters in the swamp with something called the Rougarou. And this also links to Bigfoot. And if you aren't familiar with Rougarou it's basically a werewolf or a dog man. Same thing, just the Louisiana version of this thing. And when I grew up, it was highly connected to Catholicism, and the Catholic religion had a lot of dogma behind the cautionary tales of the Rougarou. If you eat this meat on this certain day, the Rougarou is going to come and terrorize you. But when I was young, it was like to scare the kids to brush your teeth. If you don't brush the teeth, your Rougarou is going to come and get you, things like that. Yeah. But I thought, it was just a local thing. But I realized once I started doing Forbidden Knowledge News, the Rougarou, aka Dogman, is really like a global phenomenon. It's blown up recently. It's become really, really popular. But we had a main witness that we focused on. His name is Scott Pace, and he had some incredible encounters, not only with the Rougarou Dogman, but with Bigfoot, and then eventually other creatures like extraterrestrials. So he's had some amazing experiences, and we can get into some of those if you want. And, Scott's just the best witness because he's just your normal, regular dude. He was not interested in any of this. He does not drink. He doesn't do drugs. He seems to be relatively sane. His friends say he's not crazy. We've talked to his friends, his wife. They correlate all his stories. Many of his friends have experienced things with him. So he was a great witness to have, and some of his encounters. It was one of the main focuses of the films, really. We really broke up his experiences with different sections and different topics. But it was really the funnest part for me to get to dig into his stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought up the Rougarou because one thing, because I've known about this phenomenon in Louisiana for a long time. It's talked about for a long time. But the one thing I didn't know that I learned off the documentary was how flummoxed it got by just putting a colander in the front of your front door. And I'm just like, that's all it takes to take care of this guy?
Oh, yes.
Is a colander? That's all I need right now?
He's a count. He just loves numbers. He must be a counter.
Yeah, OCD werewolf.
The myth is that he loves to count, but he cannot count past 13 or can't get to 13. 13 so every time he gets to 12, he gets frustrated and starts over. So a colander is like a perfect deterrent. You put it out there, he's not going to know what the hell to do. Or you could put 13 pennies. And I have no idea where these kind of myths that are associated with it originate from. I think it was a game of telephone. A lot of these things passed down throughout history that kind of get mismatched, muddled, but it's part of the lore. And what it means for a lot of the people that are very religious down here, they take it very seriously. They think it's a demonic entity that will actually enter your life if you sin against God. There's very religious people that in the very southern area of the swamps that have very strong religious beliefs, and the Rougarou is like the real deal thing to them. It's part of their culture. It's not just a tale. And from what I understand, this creature could very well be roaming the woods if it's whether it's a flesh and blood creature or some kind of paranormal demonic entity, I don't know. That's the big question, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that you've touched on so many things here. And one thing that I was particularly surprised about that I didn't know, and I thought I knew a lot about Louisiana, were the mounds at the college at LSU, and how they predate a lot of the other mounds, like Serpent Mound over there in Ohio, and so on and so forth. Yeah, talk about that if you could, and how, because that to me was, I didn't know that. That was news to me.
Yeah, we had Dr. Gregory Little on to talk about the mounds, and they're not just at LSU campus. They're all over Louisiana. They're all over the United States. We talked a little bit about Serpent Mound in Ohio, which is very impressive, but a lot of people don't know about the ones in Louisiana, and the most fascinating aspect is their age. And the ones at Louisiana State University were just redated, and the age, it predates what we understand as Native American culture. It could go back to very ancient, even advanced possible civilizations. Dr. Little believes that these mounds were kind of precursors to what we understand as the Great Pyramids, that it could have been all part of the same global civilization, that the mountains they look like piles of dirt right now, or little hills. They don't look like much, but when you dig into them, there's very intricate construction. There's relics. It looks like there was used for ceremonial purposes, astrological alignments, and they were probably much larger and had many more facets to them. And the ages go back 12,000 years and beyond, 12,000 years ago and beyond. It's to some of our earliest understandings of civilizations. And like I said, yeah, the uses for these were mainly ceremonial in many ways, but there's still speculation on exactly why they were used. And in many of them, they're used as burial sites for very large humanoids. Some of the mainstream findings from the Smithsonian, who, if you are in this community, you know that the Smithsonian has hidden a lot of archaeological evidence, such as giant bones. So they admit, yes, maybe we found bones 7.5 foot tall in these mounds, and they still call them Native American mounds, but these really predate Native Americans. And if you look at the independent findings from independent newspaper articles and people who were digging up these mounds, just your regular Joe Blow going and excavating these things, some of those accounts talk about 10 to 15 foot tall giant bones. So there's a mystery there, and why hide it? That's part of the mystery.
Of course. Well,
I thought they were tailgating on top of that mound for a second.
So disrespectful. So disrespectful. Jeez.
Well, I just want to know, though, with LSU and stuff, if there's any paranormal occurrences with that could be associated with these mounds or anything like that, because isn't it, I think in the documentary, I'm sorry, you mentioned his name for a few minutes ago. What was his name?
Dr. Gregory Little?
Yes. He talks about, like, when you dig into these, you think it's nothing but dirt, but he found stone structures, like it was like a room, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, they have chambers, rooms. It's an entire structure that used to hold ceremonial sites and all kinds of things in there.
So real quick, these mounds here, and I'll pull up a mounds here in our local Ashland Park here in a second. They look identical to the Adena burial grounds here in my town, which used to extend like 3 rows all across the riverfront. And there's our historical district. All of the houses are built over top of them, all the way to Midtown Kroger. If anybody's listening from Ashland, and
they're built on top of the mounds.
Yeah, or I got a blueprint of a house in the late 1800s. It has a Dina in the corner of the basement. It has an X through it. So either they built over it or they flattened it. Now there's rumors that they built over them, but they removed the bones from the Indian burial grounds and took it to the Serpent Mount.
Mm.
And they are added to that Serpent Mount up there. But we live right next to the river and everything too, so that correlates with Indian burial and stuff, because they always do this stuff near the water, which Louisiana is nothing but water, and New Orleans is like a bowl, like it's below the water. So like that's a whole other questions I'd like to talk about. But these large bones that you find in these Indian burial grounds, like there's like over 200 bodies found in Appalachian area of giants. So like there's something that's happened a very long time ago, and they are absolutely covering it.
It makes me wonder, were the global leaders at the time just giants, or was everybody giants? Were we a mix of humanoids of different size? It's very interesting. And why hide it? Why is the big mystery? I mean, why is it such a controversy that we had very tall humanoids? That adds to, it could have free energy implications. It could mean that there is areas of our history that maybe non-humans were involved with. It's very interesting.
Now these look small. These look small here on the camera, but they're a lot bigger than this, I promise you, in life. But these Indian burial grounds like extended like about 10 blocks down, and there was 3 rows of them in the history that I researched, and I had to get that out of Lexington, Kentucky, not my local Ashland, Kentucky library. I had to go 2 hours away to find the history of it. So this is close to the river. If you look at this picture, to the right is the river. There was 3 rows of this. We only have 7 mounds left. Everything else has been built over.
Wow.
And if you watch, and I don't like to promote these people, that's a whole other topic, but I'll talk about it. Hellier, the documentary Hellier with Greg Newkirk and them, they actually come to my hometown and they do talk about these Indian burial grounds. But there's a lot to do with this in our area, and that whole historical district. In the school, there's an elementary school to the right of this. My mom taught there for 14 years. And I can tell you so many different paranormal occurrences that happen with her in that school. There's something with this. They want to hide history. They want to build over history. They want to hide. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is some kind of chamber underneath these mounts too.
And it could add to the aspects of why some of those areas have so much paranormal activity. The prehistory of Louisiana goes back much further, but if you go forward in history, the trauma that comes from slavery, comes from some of the wars that occurred in there, some of the Native Americans that were slaughtered. There's a lot of trauma that occurred in South Louisiana, so that could very well add to the level of paranormal craziness.
Wasn't there a divide between Indians or something? There was a story or something I heard a long time ago. I did not look this up or anything. I didn't even think the red stick. Isn't there something? Baton Rouge means red stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that means a divide, and the red, it symbolizes the blood that was shed between the Indian tribes.
That's close. That is very close. I'd have to do a refresher on that part of Louisiana history, but yeah, I think you're close on that one.
Nolans. That's how I know. That's how I know Louisiana. Go ahead, Will, if you have anything on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chris, one thing I wanted to ask you, because you went through so many different topics or different, just different topics that all revolved around Louisiana. Was there one that kind of caught you by surprise and you kind of said to yourself, wow, I actually learned something from doing research on my own documentary that I didn't know? Is there anything that pops out that was like, whoa, it was kind of like an eye-opening moment for you?
There was a lot of it was really some of the things I learned about Marie Laveau and what she was really about. That was very interesting. The history of the JFK assassination and some of the integral parts that went along that took place in Louisiana, especially in New Orleans, and some of the mob activity that occurred there. There's a very rich vampire history that I wish I could have put more of into the film. I ran out of time on that one. But I learned about, there's more that I learned about Louisiana history when I was researching this film than I probably did growing up my whole life.
Gotcha.
And one of my favorite things that I found out about was the age of the Native American mounds that we just discussed. And there's still really no one seemingly cares in the academic or scientific community. It's like no big news to anyone, and it changes history in such a dramatic way. It's incredible.
Yeah, a lot of people say that that's because it contradicts normal or current academia or what's written down in books, that they don't want to revisit that, and they don't feel like rewriting history at this point because they feel that what's out there is adequate, which is obviously not, because we're constantly changing the historical dates on these places that we're discovering. One place mentioned that you actually mentioned in your documentary, Göbekli Tepe over there in Turkey. I mean, that right there alone is one of the major spots right now that's been really changing the dates when it comes to historical places. So what's your thought about that? I mean, you think it's just because they don't want to put out the new, or what's the problem there? What's the
I think there's a lot of things that's the main one, is they have their pride. I think there's a lot of implications about learning about our true history that could show that there is free energy, that we have not evolved the way that we have said that we have, that there could be some sort of mystical aspects to our existence. I think that there's many reasons why they hide that. And there's the more and more evidence shows that we were, at least between the 12,000 and before time frame, for at least a few 100,000 years, we could have been a global civilization that was very advanced and had access to the entire planet very easily, whether it was through the oceans or even flight is possible with some of the discoveries that are being made from the researchers that are uncovering some of our hidden history right now. So there's a lot of implications that I think they don't want us to know about, because it frees us basically from their clutches. Right. If we have the ability to not rely on daddy government for travel, for healthcare, for space flight, for instant, maybe they had portal technology. I know, Emily, you wanted to talk about that. Maybe
hold on, that's what I was getting ready to bring up.
Maybe like the doors to nowhere on these pyramid structures and these places across the planet are really just portals that the ancients used to zip across the planet to. I don't know. It's interesting.
I believe in portals. Honestly do. Absolutely believe in portals now. And from a Christian, because Chris, I'm a Christian too. From a Christian point of view, it talks about portals in the Bible. So I believe in portals and transitioning from one spiritual realm to the next. And I think that this technology, this free energy and things had a lot to do with that. And it possibly could have been part of the giants that happen. They come and go. They come in some of the giants, in my belief. I don't know. Have you watched Noah off Netflix?
No, I'm not.
Okay, it has Crow guy. What's that guy's name? I think his name's Crow. He's Gladiator. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe's in it.
Yeah.
And they actually put the Nephilim in Noah in this. And my mom's like, it's not biblical. Honestly, knowing the stuff I've researched and everything, I believe it. Yeah. I believe it. And I think it's more biblical than what other people think. And I think that the elite, this government organization, you have good and bad. And I believe that there is some Nephilim that has repented, if that's what you want to say, asked for forgiveness. I think there's a good and bad in the Nephilim too. And I think a lot of these giants that came through these portals, and they produced some, I don't know, some like Noah's Ark. They helped him build that ark. These pyramids and things, they helped build the pyramids. I don't necessarily mean it's aliens. In my opinion, this is totally off topic. In my opinion, well, we're all aliens, absolutely. But in my opinion, with aliens, I question if they are good. I think most of the aliens that we have alien encounters, the Greys and all that kind of stuff, could possibly be demonic. And
it actually does.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it actually does tie to some of the things we cover in the movie, because we speculate if the Nephilim were these giants and also could still be around, and maybe are what we are saying are Bigfoot. Maybe the Nephilim are hairy humanoids and they are now still here, but they're elusive and they hide out in the woods and go through portals and disappear.
Well, I think also the Nephilim's the bloodlines of leaders around the world too. They just mask themselves in a human body. It's like they can mutate. That makes sense, or they can take on any kind of object that they want to. And I honestly think that our government, the CIA, with hologram technology and laser technology and stuff, and EMF technology that they have, I think that they're still using Bigfoot and alien abductions and stuff as a game, and to see what can manipulate. The voice of God is all in this, with the voices that you hear in your head. A lot of people hear things, they see things in their sleep. Or dreams. I think the government plays a role in it too. There's just a lot going on, a lot from every angle. Like Louisiana, there's a lot going on in Louisiana. And it goes so deep. And when you think, Chris, Chris, we might not agree on everything, but when you go deep into these rabbit holes and you think you've heard everything that you could possibly hear, and then like a few months passed or a year passed, and then if you find out that something's even more darker than what it was, like I didn't even touch the surface of it. Like, when does this stuff end?
What's that? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think there's no end to it. If you look at people who have these experiences, who come into encounters, they can either shut it off and, think that it's something that is evil and doesn't serve them, and they can run away from the experience, or they embrace it and the experience turns into something else. And that is just exactly like what my friend Scott Pace, who's in the film, had. He just started out, he encountered a Bigfoot during a hunting experience, but the Bigfoot telepathically spoke to him. And as well, at the same time he saw the Bigfoot, there was a dog man there that also telepathically spoke to him and kind of threatened him in an angry way. Long story short, he runs out of there. But after this experience of encountering these two, whether they're paranormal or mythical creatures, whatever they are, it opened up something in his perception, and he was able to perceive them more. They actually started coming to his house and tapping on his window. He would have intruders in the middle of the night. He'd hear footsteps. He'd smell these horrible smells, and he'd get this psychic communication. And it just kept picking up, and he'd get into stranger and stranger situations. A Bigfoot came up to his truck while he was sitting looking at his cell phone, and supposedly tried to grab his cell phone out of his hand, and he slapped the Bigfoot's hand, and he just kind of ran off the other way. He's had experiences with what's that?
Don't mess with nobody's cell phone, right?
That's right. No, not even Bigfoot.
Yeah. Not even Bigfoot.
Yeah, he's had experiences with everything from
that's crazy.
Beams of light coming down the sky and light beings walking out of it, to then having missing time and having memories of being on ships and things like that.
So here's my question for him. And if you talk to him, if you don't know the answer, if you talk to him, ask him this. His first occurrence of a beast, Bigfoot, whatever, did it happen in a state park? That's what I'd like to know.
This was it was near his private land, but it wasn't a state park. It was just wilderness area, state wilderness area.
Okay. Because I've done a lot of research, and I'm about ready to put on the website of all these Bigfoot sightings and testimonies of people, and how they are all connected to state park, which I think is government.
Interesting.
Doug is on here. Hey, Doug. Dan, that was kind of ballsy.
It is.
He said.
But yeah, I think a lot of it could be, anything's possible. It could be government experimentation. If you look at the Camellia story, where this guy was surveyed and harassed by military-industrial complex, and they were testing extremely exotic, advanced technology on him and making him think he was being abducted, making him see things that weren't there, sending small jockey-sized dudes into his house with cloaking technology and moving stuff around so he'd think they were ghosts in his house. And this was in the 90s, so they had this technology in the 90s to do this. Of course, they're screwing with people with all these, advanced technologies.
Is that the guy in San Diego you're talking about?
I'm not sure what. Robert Guffey wrote the book Camellia. That's what all this story is in Camellia. Yeah. It's a true story about a heroin addict that was illegally harassed and surveyed by the military-industrial complex. And it's a crazy story.
Yeah, I think that's in San Diego. I think that's the same story.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah.
So heroin addict. You mentioned heroin addict. Let's talk psychedelics.
Oh shit! Heroin to psychedelics.
I know, right?
Very different.
There's the bridge. No bridge. There's no bridge there.
They are very different. But drugs and psychedelics have been used by MK Ultra, CIA, FBI, and all that stuff. And Chris, I have listened to many of your podcasts, and you have used psychedelics before.
I have a mushroom farm, is what I have in my house.
Okay.
So, and I don't consider mushrooms. I consider those more plant medicines, as well as ayahuasca. I consider LSD a drug.
Yes.
I think the CIA created LSD for nefarious purposes, and I do not like LSD. I've taken LSD a few times, and it is a very dark and cold and disconnected experience, as opposed to mushrooms that are a very connecting, loving, connected to God type, just connected to the universe, beautiful experience. So I consider these plant medicines much different than any other types of psychedelics, even DMT, because there's human handprints all over DMT. I don't think it's this. You get the same benefits and spiritual experience out of some of those things. So my psychedelic experiences have primarily been magic mushrooms that I grow my very own self, so I know where they're coming from and what kind I'm doing and all that good stuff. And I owe so much of where I am today to having the courage to do very high dose explorations, and I've had some very insane experiences, but they have all led to better things, really.
Well, I just want to tell this too. I'm an herbal remedist. I believe God's always put everything here on earth for us. I fought cancer twice. Herbal remedy. Nice. Did not take chemo, radiation. I believe in that. I believe in vitamins, but you got to research what vitamins you're getting from what company, because they like to sneak some of that stuff in there. So with psychedelics, Chris, foremost, you're doing this documentary in Louisiana and stuff, and you have Forbidden Knowledge News podcast. Have you had any paranormal, unexplained occurrences yourself, period, without any kind of psychedelics?
Without psychedelics, the only thing is I've had missing time experiences that I can't explain. There's not much I can add to it. And when I was a child, I used to have very profound sleepwalking and somewhat very strange dreams that I couldn't tell if they were real or not, and a lot of missing time as a child. But nothing I would really consider paranormal except for sleep paralysis, which I had when I was getting divorced in like 2012, 2013. I was in a very bad state of mind. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, couldn't move. Shadow people would be walking all over my room. It wasn't just one or two. There was like a shadow people party in my room and in the next room. I'd hear these loud, like banging noises coming from my ceiling, and it'd get louder and louder until I'd get so like unnerved and scared I'd make myself pop out of it. But after the divorce and everything, that all cleared up. But no, that was about it.
But
So
but as far as psychedelic,
psychedelics now. So let's go to that side.
Yeah.
All right. How much time do we have here?
we got about 15 more minutes. Go right ahead.
Okay, I will tell you this story because it'll probably take up the rest of the time. This is the most profound psychedelic experience I had. And kids, I don't recommend psychedelics to anyone. You do your homework. You approach them with the utmost respect, and you, if you are going to try and utilize them, do your research, have protection, not only outside, but spiritual protection with you, because there can be funky things that can communicate and influence you when you are under these experiences, because I believe they're doorways. These psychedelics, they open up a portion of your perception that is not normally available, and you can experience different realms that are outside of us, that are just outside of us, and interact with the intelligences that are out there. Now, if you're in a low vibrational state, you're going to interact with low vibrational entities. If you're in a high vibrational state and you have spiritual beliefs and protection, and you have your spirit guides, higher self, God, Jesus, all those good guys on your side, you're going to have great experiences, which luckily I do. But there was this one time. Okay, so this time, and I know why this experience happened, it was like a warning for me. I've been protected the whole time because before I even started psychedelic experiences, I had a meditative experience where I met my spirit guides. I came into contact with my higher self. And this first experience told me to quit my day job that I was doing before this show and start doing the show full time. And it's really what led me to everything. And my higher self was the voice that suggested I use plant medicines to further explore my consciousness, heal childhood trauma, and get to where I wanted to be in my life. So I had started, once I moved to Colorado about 3 years ago. A year and a half ago, I was with an ex-girlfriend at the time, and she had never done psychedelics of any kind. I was growing mushrooms, and she was very interested in it. She's also a psychic medium, healer. She does regressions and things like that. So we agreed to have an experience together. She took a small amount, not a small amount, a moderate amount, and I took a large amount like I usually do. I usually take about 5 grams of mushrooms. Kids, don't start there. That's a lot. But she'd probably took about 2 grams. But the strange thing was she did not feel anything. Like even after 2 hours, I'm like, this is very strange. I was like blasted, and she did not feel anything. So I'm, few red flags, but I'm like, all right, would you like more? So we ended up dosing her up to 5 grams, and she did not. She claimed she did not feel anything at all. And I'm like out of my mind. So she's like, well, let's do a regression for you while you're in this state. Might that be cool? And I'm like, I regret it now, but I was like, sure, let's do it. So we did it, and it wasn't bad. That experience wasn't bad. We kind of went through I think it was like a traumatic childhood experience she walked me through, and it really helped. It felt better. But after this, now mind you, this is an ex-girlfriend now. After we went through that experience, her and I were just talking, but what she was saying started to become it didn't make sense. And what she was saying became darker and darker sounding to me. And this is what I remember her saying. She said, I came to this planet a long time ago. I found you. I attached myself to you. I got you where you needed to be. And now it's since that you don't love me anymore, and you're going to be leaving me soon. And I looked at her, and when I did, I shit you not. Now, let me preface something. I've never had major hallucinations before this point. Pretty light, shiny, wavy things, introspection, visions when you close your eyes, things like that. But not all-encompassing hallucinate. Okay. So after she said that to me, I look at her, and she shape-shifted. She even grew about to a 7-foot-tall reptilian being. Her skin color changed, scales, her eyes were yellow, teeth, and she's like, you don't love me anymore? And she starts chasing me. I'm like, took off. I'm running around the house.
Yeah, and she is like a 7-foot tall reptilian in my ex-girlfriend's nightgown, kind of running after me, saying, "You don't love me anymore."
Hold on, is that effect of the shrooms? Because I've been around
I'm
friends
gonna
that
get
did
to that.
shrooms. Okay,
I'm gonna get
right.
to that.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I'll get to everything. What I think happened here.
Shrooms. My friends would run all the time. They thought bears and
No.
monsters were chasing them.
This was different. I
Okay.
mean, that might not have been too different, but I'll tell you my perspective after.
Okay.
So anyway, as I'm kind of running away, I run down to the basement. My whole house changes into a dungeon, and there's like literal bars on my windows. I look outside, the sky is blood red. Everything is different. Everything's dingy. My house is not the same. And I'm thinking, okay, this is nothing like this has ever happened before. I've just died and gone to hell. Maybe I just have to deal with it. This is what hell looks like. I don't know what's happening. So I was freaking out. I run back upstairs, managed to avoid the lizard running around wherever it was. And I lock myself in my bathroom and I turn on the shower. What happened next? You decide for yourself. I start praying. I'm going to tell you. But I start praying and I say, I just didn't know what to do. So I'm like, God, help me. The second I said, God, help me, this rumbling, like from inside my stomach, it's crazy. Like I start shaking. The lights start flickering. I puke up this black viscous goo material all over the place. And then boom, everything's back to normal. I hear a voice said, "No, you were being deceived." And it was this loud commanding voice. And then I feel this angelic, like beautiful presence, this powerful presence next to me. I feel this amazing love. And it's like everything's gone. Everything's back to normal. I walk outside. My ex-girlfriend's like on the bed, like, what happened? What happened? It's like, I don't know. But I have an understanding now of what might have happened there. After that experience, her and I broke up within a few weeks because her true colors started showing through. She started showing me who she really was. She was not a nice person. She started trying to take advantage of things, get money out of me, all these things. So I had to break up with her. I think this mushroom experience was showing me a part of who she really was. Maybe she wasn't really a reptilian, okay, but she had a dark spot on her soul that was coming out, and it was warning me. And it was, it's somehow these consciousness things happen. And it was like a warning from the mushrooms, don't be with this person. And it came through as this incredibly strange paranormal experience.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And she did the mushrooms, but it never really affected her either. So that's interesting too. And
my friends think she was CIA. I don't know. It could be. She could have been a honeypot.
And a narcissist too, because they are so hardened that nothing really truly affects them.
Yeah. Oh, she was done with that.
As an empath or somebody super sensitive to things, like good versus evil, and stuff with that. But that's a really great story to tell. Chris.
Cautionary tales.
That's a bad ex-girlfriend.
I can't believe I'm going to admit
I tell you, 90% of my experiences are beautiful. I commune with my spirit guides. I talked with just amazing, beautiful spiritual beings, my ancestors, and I've learned just how to be the best me I can be. I've healed all my childhood trauma. I've healed things. I've integrated parts of my higher self. And each time I have an experience, I learn about how to do things better and what's next on my path. And it's really, never about anything, how to fix the world or, what Joe Schmo should be doing. It's just about my experience. And that's what, that's the best thing I've found. It's such a great tool for mental health and for reconnecting neural pathways, getting people to heal trauma and do great things with their lives.
Well, I have one more question for you, and then I'll have Will do a follow-up question, and then we'll close out the show and let you go. But so since that incident and stuff, and you've done the psychedelics and stuff since then, have you ever had an experience like that with even people living in your own home?
No, but I did open up a portal and walk through it and meet my future self. And my future self was a scientist. And when I met him, he said, wow, this is a breakthrough. We've done it. And as soon as he said that, I was like, what have we done? And I stepped back and the portal closed, and it was a pretty profound experience. So yeah, that happened.
But doesn't that worry you a little bit, because the CIA and MK Ultra and all this stuff has done this stuff over the years?
No, because I grow my own mushrooms and I know what's happening.
Yeah,
and I'm in control of the situation.
Yeah, but Chris, they may know that.
Well, if they did, they've given me some beautiful experiences, and they've brought me to a great place in my life. So thank you, CIA. I really appreciate it. I doubt it's the CIA.
Well, they can pulsate it, and everything, and play off that energy levels is what I'm getting at. Not necessarily that they are in the mushroom themselves or anything, that the atmosphere that you're
Well,
around.
like I said, if they are, they're leading me on a great path, and I appreciate it. Keep it up. Come on.
We need journal entries from Chris Mathieu.
I do. I have journal entries. Trust me.
Captain's log.
I will be writing a book. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I will be buying that book absolutely on this, and then I also want to be part of it. I would just want to observe. Is what I want to do.
Hey, I'll let you. I'll put you on a Zoom while I go crazy.
Will Martinez might want to participate.
Oh, I'm down.
Yeah, man.
I've been down mushroom path before, so I'm not scared. Oh yeah.
Wild Bill,
nice and fuzzy.
Wild Bill put a comment on here.
Oh, he's praying for us. Thank God. We have somebody praying for us.
Yes. So real quick,
spirit guide.
My last final question for you, then I'll have Will ask you a question. So Occult Louisiana, there's first part. When's the second part, maybe possibly third part coming out?
Occult Louisiana. Well, we haven't even gotten there, because the next film we're shifting focus. So the next Louisiana one probably won't be for a couple of years, unfortunately. No. But 6 months from now, we will have a new film called Doorways of Perception, which will cover near-death experiences, life after death, contact experiences, angelic or extraterrestrial out-of-body experiences, dream states, and how all these things connect together and really form the human experience. So I think it's all connected, and that's what it's going to be about.
That's awesome. NDEs, I love that subject. Yeah, it's a good subject.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of experiencers, near-death experiencers coming on to share their stories.
We're going to have some of those people on our show, too, eventually.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I've had to, so that's in my life. So
Doug says no Jim Morrison.
Well, no, I mean, Emily took the last question from me. I mean, I was going to ask what was next on your list, and what was going to be the next on the horizon for you, but obviously that we have another film coming out, which is great.
That's it. Yeah.
How can everybody support you and your work?
So right now we're doing fundraising for the film, so it's a great time to help support our work. You can go to easy way, supportfkn.com. You can make a donation there. And right now, if you make a donation of $100 or more, you can get a few things. You'll get a guest spot on Forbidden Knowledge News. You'll get copies of both films. You'll get your name in the credits, and you're going to get a copy of Corey's book, A Warning from History. So you make that donation, we'll hook you up with that. You can also just watch the Forbidden documentary, Occult Louisiana, on Tubi. That's a free, easy way to support us. So we'd appreciate it. And watch all the wonderful podcasts on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. The website's forbiddenknowledge.news. We're on all podcast platforms. You can sign up for a Rockfin premium membership, get access to all our premium content. You do that at rockfin.com/FKN+. And we're on social medias and stuff like that if you want to come check us out.
Awesome.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you, and we're so blessed and thankful to be part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network with What the Freak Live. Thank you so much for being. And obviously, you're gonna have to come back on, and we're gonna have to schedule something soon.
Yeah,
I want more psychedelic stuff.
and
dream stuff.
Let's do a podcast on psychedelics. How about that?
Let's just do that. Like, I'll reach out to you, Chris. We're gonna schedule something.
Yeah, right on.
And everything. We appreciate you so much. We're gonna let you go, and we'll close out the show. But thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks,
all
Chris.
the description for Chris Forbidden Knowledge News is in the description list on the social media platforms. Please check it out, and the websites and links and everything has been shown up here. But thank you, Chris. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
There we go.
There we go. Chris
Psychedelics.
Mathieu.
What do you think about psychedelics, Will?
I am very approval of that, or I approve of that. I do think they do help people. I think you need to do it under the right circumstances and kind of know the boundaries of what you're doing, but I think it's a good thing.
I've been around people with psychedelics. I will tell you this. My mom, I'm so sorry if you're listening. I tripped on acid twice.
Nice. Nice.
And it was a piece of paper that I put on my tongue, and both times I did it in school. I did it in high school.
Why did you do it in school? Like, that's the worst.
I don't know if
place
I
to
was
do it.
safe there. If anything would really happen to me, like they would call 911.
Which of the nurse's office? I
Yeah,
tripped on acid.
I have a fever.
Yeah, I have a fever in my ass. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did, and maybe that's another show. I'm not going to go into my experience of tripping on acid, but my dad tripped on acid in Vietnam.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
And stuff. So a lot of military people do this stuff too. So
absolutely.
So the psychedelics. I believe in herbal remedies. I absolutely do. I believe God put everything here on earth for us to heal ourselves. Do not trust the pharmaceuticals at all, in my opinion.
Bad news. Bad news.
And Doug says, have you ever seen the advertisement for the warning people to come and volunteer for ketamine treatments for depression?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it. I don't have cable that much. I stream a lot, but anyway, I'd like to have Chris back on talk about that. But the Occult Louisiana, obviously, we didn't get into the topics that I wanted to talk about a whole lot with
always happens.
American Horror Story, the Axeman, all that kind of stuff. It always happens.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have Chris back on. But actually, the whole month of April is most haunted.
Awesome.
We're doing Halloween in April.
Nice. That's good.
So we're gonna this whole month. We're having next week's gonna be Chris and Miranda from the most haunted historic Scott County Jail.
All right.
We're gonna have most haunted military experiences. We're having most haunted Stanley Hotel.
Oh boy.
But that's my place.
I know that's your spot. That's your
my
spot.
Stanley Hotel. Yeah. The tour guide manager and stuff is coming on there. We're also having Most Haunted Florida with Bill Davis, the legend.
Oh yeah, I love Bill. He's a great guy.
He's coming out. We're also having Tales from the Grid Square is Nick Orton. But next week we're going to start off Most Haunted with Chris and Miranda with the historic Scott County Jail in Tennessee. So I'm very excited. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Please share this out to your platforms, your social media pages and stuff. It helps our guests. It helps our show. We love you and we appreciate you. And we'll see you all next week here, same time, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Will.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.